this all weekend.
Nice. All right, we're live on YouTube. So, click here. Yep, nice. So, Josh, why don't you give people a rundown on who you are? You're a master of productivity, and without going into too much detail, we jumped on a call. This was about last week. You've got an amazing story. How you were, I'll actually let you tell the story because it's absolutely amazing.
Sure, no problem. I really appreciate that, Alan. Thank you. So, just to give some background as far as where I'm at today, my company is the Purpose Driven Co. I'm the founder and CEO of the Purpose Driven Co. We're a productivity, goal achievement, and leadership development firm that specializes in helping entrepreneurs succeed in business while winning at home, because we believe that no entrepreneur should ever have to choose between the growth of their business or spending time with their family. So the reason why I do that is because of my own background, having a large family. I have 6 kids. I have a wife. I have a English bulldog, which is like a seventh kid. All of the things that go along with that. My kids, I've 17, 12, 6, 5, 4, and 3. So, so we've got quite a gap in ages, a lot going on. And as I grew my business, I understood that it doesn't matter how much money I make. It doesn't matter how fast I make it if I didn't have the time or the energy to spend with my family. Now, I do have some that I'll explain in my background a little bit more. I do have some health issues, and so I approach productivity differently. And what I recognized was that current productivity methods are outmoded and they're archaic from basically the Industrial Revolution. And that as knowledge workers, as people that think with their minds and work online, we have to rethink productivity. And that's what I did. But I am a productivity coach primarily. I do work with entrepreneurs. I'm also a contracted coach with Dean Graziosi, Tony Robbins, Russell Brunson to help with their mastermind.com clients, their high level project next level clients. I've worked with several leaders in the entrepreneur industry and world, as well as educational leaders and even religious leaders to help with their productivity and their goal achievement in their organizations, as well as leadership development. So that's what I do. That's what I've done. I've done that since 2018, and that's who I am today. So, Alan, what would you like to know about my past?
That's pretty amazing, dude. Absolutely amazing. I actually didn't know that you worked with Tony Robbins and Dean. Like, that's pretty cool. So well done there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've done that since 2019. So it was
Yeah.
right before COVID hit. I got contracted, and we were going to do a bunch of live coaching and things like that. And then COVID hit, and we couldn't travel, and so it just became virtual, which actually worked out because I've been working virtually for quite some time now. So it's but
Nice.
I'll be speaking. I'm starting to get out again. I'll be speaking at the Christian Entrepreneurs Conference in April in Nashville, Tennessee, and as well as some other places that's coming up. But now that COVID's kind of letting us get
Mm,
back to our normal lives.
yeah. So I want to hear more of your story because you can tell the audience the most amazing productivity hacks. You can do this when you wake up. You can give them mindset techniques, but it's not powerful because, like, when when I spoke to you last week, I can tell people productivity hacks and mindset techniques, but then hearing where you were basically disabled, uh, and having 6 kids, well, 7, including the dog. But just like your story was amazing, dude. And like when I hear other people's story, like you have 19-year-olds saying, "Oh, 2 years ago I was homeless," and you're like, "No, you weren't." Whereas you actually had a disability where you couldn't work. And what I want to get out of you, and what I want my audience to learn is most of them don't have a disability. Most of them have full energy. Uh, whether they're young, when they're, maybe some of them are 18, some of them are 40 years old, but most people don't have a disability. Most people have energy, and you didn't have any of that, but you're still able to build a seven-figure business and become successful. So can you break down your story more? That way, at the end of it, people go, well, I've actually got no excuse. Yeah. If you can do it, they can. So I'll give you full access. You do your thing. Go for it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alan. And you know what? And as I'm going along, if there's anything that you think I'm forgetting or you have a question, feel free to jump in. I can be long-winded, so that's one of my foibles, I guess. But so I was a law enforcement officer back in 2008. I got married and also graduated from the Law Enforcement Academy. Prior to that, I'd been working in cell phone sales. In fact, I've been doing it for so long that I actually was the the point man for the launch team for the iPhone 1 for the AT&T corporate store that I worked at in Utah. So I was the only one trained on it. Secretly went back to the store, trained everybody like 3 hours before it launched, and then we launched it. So that's how long I'd been in the business. And then in 2008, I decided to go into law enforcement. I graduated the academy. I got married to my wife. I'd been married previously, had a son from that marriage. That's my oldest, my 17-year-old. And so was out doing field training and took down a suspect. The field trainer hit the suspect in the leg. I hit him in the leg with my knee because he was getting kind of squirrely on us, and we did one of those strikes that gives you a dead leg. Well, both his legs went out from under him, and
Yeah.
he went down. His knee came up, and my groin came down right on top of his knee. So didn't think about it. I mean, had to go to the hospital, workers' comp, all of that stuff. Got an ultrasound, and they said, well, there's just, you got hit pretty hard. There's a lot of blood there, so just let it heal up. But we think we see something. Come back in a month. So a month goes by. My wife's like, you need to go back. And I said, no, I'm fine. Another month. This was like October, November, December. Finally, January, I said, okay. She's like, you've got to do it. So I went back, and it turned out that I had testicular cancer. They did an ultrasound. They saw it, and they said, it looks like it. We're almost 100% sure we're going to do surgery. They did the surgery. They removed the right testicle. Turns out, yes, I did. The crazy thing is that it was so, like, it was just starting, that had I not gotten hit in the groin, there's no way we would have known. And it's one of the most vicious silent killers of men in their late 20s, early 30s, because you don't even have symptoms of it until you're like stage 4, right? So it was just one of those miracles that God was watching over and took care of it. Didn't have to take chemo, didn't have to do radiation, just surgery, some follow-up appointments. I've been clear ever since. But what happened was that left me with low testosterone. And being in law enforcement, I was working out every single day. I was eating healthy. I mean, those guys on the streets are working out. I'm working out. I want to come home at night to my family. And so what happened is I went to my doctor. I said, I think I have low testosterone because I'm still kind of fatigued and can't get rid of some of this fat. She tested me, and sure enough, I was. So put me on testosterone replacement therapy. Unfortunately, she didn't quite know what she was doing. And I wound up having a heart attack at the age of 30, as well as my kidney function dropping from 100% down to 60% functioning. I went to the doctor. This is all on top of the type 1 diabetes that I've had since I was 11 years old. So with that combination, the heart attack and everything, and the doctor said, you can't work in law enforcement. He says, in fact, you'll never work again. Your job now is to make sure your kidneys will never get better. That percentage will never go up. It's always going to drop. Your job is to just slow down how fast it drops. That's what you have to do. So we went through the process to get me medically retired from law enforcement. And because of my age, I couldn't collect the retirement. And so we lost 55% of our income overnight. My wife was working. She was working for the Division of Family and Child Services, which here in the United States is basically where she saw all kinds of child abuse and domestic violence and horrible things that it was just wearing on her, you know?
Mm.
And so I felt awful. I felt horrible. I couldn't work. I couldn't support the family. We applied for disability here in the United States through Social Security. That takes forever to get through. And so I just was struggling and not and my health began to decline more. And then during this process, my doctor noticed something, some trembling in my hand. We did some tests and found out I was diagnosed with young onset Parkinson's disease on top of everything else. So I finally did get approved for disability, but the day I did, my health tanked because basically what I was told, I mean, essentially what I heard when they say you're approved for disability is that your only reason for existence is just to suck air long enough to stay alive, to collect a paycheck, a little paycheck, by the way, that somewhat offsets the burden that your wife's carrying. Like that was
Mm.
it. And I felt completely useless. And I believed that story until I decided not to. When I shifted my mindset, my life shifted. The very next day, I found an opportunity to start working in the trucking industry with my friend. He became a freight broker, which basically he brokered between the companies and the truckers the rate to haul their freight, to haul their products. And I was an agent for him. And I said, "Can I do this from home?" He says, "Man, you can do this in your pajamas, in your bed. All you need is a laptop, a cell phone, and internet connection." And I had those. And I helped him build his company to six figures in 6 months
Nice.
from my bed. Yeah. So I started to change my mindset and I said, "Hey, I can do more. I could do that." Like it boosted my confidence.
Mm.
So I went out on my own. I opened my own freight brokering business and built that to six figures in 6 months. And then I realized I really didn't like the trucking. I love truckers and I love the industry. The world cannot operate without them. I didn't like being a part of it because it does operate 24/7. You know, me being the face of the company to the truck driver, if his truck broke down and the delivery was going to be late, he called me at 2 in the morning. You
Yeah.
know, if there was a problem with the company on the weekend, they called me on the weekend, right? It just was kind of nonstop. And I had this family at this point. By this time, I had three kids, so not all six yet, but I had three. My family's growing, and I'm like, I want to spend time with them. Especially the youngest was a brand new baby, and so we had a 5-year old, or we had a 10-year old, a 5-year old, and then a brand new baby. And I'm going, okay, I want to be with my family. We'd lost babies in between the 5-year old and the 3-year old. We'd lost babies and to miscarriage, and we thought we weren't going to have any. And when we had another one, I said, I don't want to miss out on this. I want to be a part of this. And so we sold that business, and I went into financial services, and we had another baby. And then that baby started having kidney problems. After building this company to seven figures in about a year, that baby started having kidney problems. And we went, oh my goodness, okay, so we got to focus on this. Well, when you're self-employed, you don't get days off, right, Alan? You don't get a
Yeah.
week, you don't get paid holiday, you don't get paid
Mm.
sick leave. It literally comes out of your pocket. If you're
Yeah.
not working with clients or you're not making more money, acquiring new clients, then you're essentially paying yourself to out of your savings to take that day off. And my daughter had to go to Primary Children's Hospital, which was a couple hours north. We had to travel up there, travel expenses, staying overnight, testing. Being self-employed, we didn't have great health insurance here in the United States. So again, that a lot of out-of-pocket expense. So our savings went down the tubes. Every penny that I was making from financial services for my clients was immediately going out the door to pay for, rent and medical expenses, all these things. And we got to a point where we had to open up a GoFundMe. I mean, it was
Mm.
like we needed donations just to pay our rent, just to stay in our home. And I mean, we didn't have money for food, we didn't have money for rent, we didn't have money to pay any of the bills. And we were literally like, that was going to be it, man. That was, if we did not get a donation within 24
Mm.
hours, that was it. Well, fortunately, people opened their hearts and donated, and we were blessed. But what it made me realize was I could not go back to financial services. Like, even though it wasn't, I wasn't blowing money on boats and cars and going crazy. We were very financially responsible, which thank goodness we were, because we had the savings to pay for my daughter's needs and her medical needs. But that was the problem, was life happened, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes you can do everything in life and still lose. And that's just life. So so I took a look at it. I said, man, I did, in good conscience, being a man of integrity, I could not go back and say, hey, let me help you set up your financial future. Let me help you set up your retirement. Let me help you with life insurance, all these things, and yet still have this GoFundMe out there. I mean, I wasn't going to hide it. I wasn't going to lie about it. That's not who I am. And, and I just felt like that wasn't that was a very disingenuous thing for me to try to do. So I said, okay,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. What can I do? And I started thinking about it. And the clients that I worked with, they were amazed, because I had built this financial service business on my own, without assistance, without, VAs or anything like that. And I'd done it in less than 30 hours a week. I had improved my energy levels and my health levels while doing it. And it had grown to over 7 figures. So they're going, how are you doing this? And so I realized, wait a minute, I've developed a productivity system. Without realizing it, as I read about and studied productivity, I started taking pieces of it. I started recognizing what was outdated, what was outmoded. I started updating things. I started creating my own system, and I put it together to achieve goals, to achieve all my goals, to be able to be productive, to be able to spend time with my family. And because, like I said, it doesn't matter if I was making $1 million a minute, if I didn't have the energy and the time
Mm.
to be with my family, then it wasn't worth it. So I said, okay, productivity. So I reached out to some of my former clients. I said, hey man, if I put together a productivity like course, like if I told you my system, would you guys buy it? Yeah, sure, that'd be great. So I put together a course. I think I used Teachable the first time around. Literally just collected my emails. I priced it for $200. I sent out emails to everybody I knew, anybody I'd had any kind of business contact with. Said, this is what I'm doing. A lot of my clients have asked for this. Maybe you were one of them. Here it is. Here's the landing page.
Mm.
And in one weekend, I made $20,000. We were able to pay rent we were able to pay medical bills. And here's the great thing, not great, well, great, but not funny, somewhat funny. My little girl, her kidneys almost like overnight, like the moment I
Mm.
decided to switch, her kidneys got better. It was almost like God was like, listen, man, I don't want you in financial services and I don't want to hurt your family. But the only way I'm going to get you to listen up is to do something drastic.
Yeah.
And I feel the same thing, like moving from law enforcement was, because I love law enforcement. I'd still be there today if I could have been, if nothing had happened. I think I'm just really pig-headed, and I don't think God does bad things to hurt people, but sometimes it's like, man, I got to get your attention.
Mm.
Something's got to happen. So there was a little bit of that. If anybody reads the Bible, a little bit of that Job, right, where like he kind of lost everything type thing, and God had to like shake me awake and say, okay, I need you to do this. So I said, all right, this works, and I supported my family, and so I went on. I created more courses. I started coaching. Built $1 million business off of that, and got contracted with Dean and Tony to coach their clients. Russell Brunson's part of that. I've worked with other pastors and religious leaders. I've worked with educational leaders to help them with their schools and their teachers and their students, and created physical products. We're launching the Purpose-Driven Productivity Planner in March, and at the end of March, we've launched physical planners with notepads to help people with their goals and their productivity. We've got coaching, we've got private and group coaching, we've got courses available, and the company's just continued to grow. I've been able to bring on a business partner who's helped me with the rebranding. The company was initially J. Allen Hull and Co., and we've just started rebranding to the Purpose Driven Co. And what I found was, and the whole reason behind the phrase "the purpose driven" was, I discovered that I discovered a secret. I guess you could say it's not really a secret; people know it, but I put the pieces together.
Yeah.
That purpose without productivity is just daydreaming. Productivity without purpose is just busy work. And the thing that bridges them together is learning to be present. And that's energy management. I started with my mindset management with getting a purpose and shifting my life. And then the practical application, because you could sit there and say all day long, like, hey man, I'm gonna be a millionaire. I'm gonna be a millionaire, right? But you got to do something. But you could say I'm going to do something all day long, but feel like crud, or, if you feel like crud or your mindset's off, then that's not going to work. The
Mm.
key to all of this was I discovered that I had to manage my energy. And I was forced to discover that because I had very limited energy because I still had health issues. Now, I've improved my kidney function back up to about 98%. The doctors are like, that's impossible. What did you do? I said, I learned to manage my stress and my mindset and my energy levels. And they said, well, that's impossible. That'll never work. And I said, well, it's working. It's your test. I didn't cheat on it. So wouldn't even know how to cheat.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's where my system is different and starts to depart from traditional productivity, because it really is, productivity isn't about time management. It's about your mindset and energy management. But the practical part, the tactic, or the strategy part, is the mindset management, and the tactical part is the energy management. And then time management can plug in, then you can plug in the time management strategies. So
Yeah.
so that's my story in a nutshell. I mean, that's really, and I feel like I feel really blessed, but I also feel like, look, there are people that have it worse off than I do in the world. I'm not going to say I have the worst
Mm.
health, and that I had it the worst off. Thank goodness for the blessings I have had. But honestly, look, if I can do it, then anybody can do it. It's anybody can build a business, anybody can grow a business. It's just a matter of getting the right systems in place and understanding that, and that's where I step in. You know, a lot of people know how to build a business. They want to do it with Facebook groups, or they want to do it on YouTube. They want to do it on, Instagram. They want to do it on a website, and that's great. All of those methods can work, and all of them have been proven to work.
Mm.
What I'm going to show you is how to take whatever you're doing and do it in 30 hours or less a week, so you have more time to be with your family, your loved ones, your self-care, your exercise, your health, your all of those things that are important, right? So that you can have a legacy and leave a lasting legacy.
This is some sexy stuff, dude.
I appreciate that. I've
That's
never
really good.
my story's never been called sexy before, so I appreciate that you
Well,
called
glad to be the first.
it.
So I just want to go over a couple of things. So a lot of people, it's they struggle with procrastination. They struggle, like as you said, they want that seven-figure business. They want to make $1 million a year, but they just don't have a system in place. They might write like a to-do list and they do like two or three things, but then they get distracted, and then at the end of the year, they're still making the same income. What I want to go over is you had cancer, and that's actually quite lucky what happened. Like a bad situation led to you, like that's just crazy. And something happened to me, which is something similar. This was about a week and a half ago. My girlfriend and I were in bed. Better not say too much. But we're in bed, yeah. And she had very good intentions, but it resulted in a bad outcome. And after that, we had like a little discussion. Like we always have these awesome discussions where we just talk about anything. But what happened is, at exactly the same time, she went like this with the pillow because I was about to put my head down. So she went like that, but at the same time, I went towards the pillow. So what happened is the corner of the pillow went in my eye, and
Oh,
it really hurt. But the thing is, she had good intentions, and so did I, but bad timing. So my point is, what happened to you? You had cancer, which is bad, but the fact that that incident happened led to you finding out that you actually had cancer, and then that could have saved your life. So something that was
mhm.
bad led to something that was potentially saved your life and changed your life. So that's just mind blowing to me. So you had cancer, you had low. Do you still have low testosterone, or but
Yes,
you've
yes, yeah, I still do, just because of the removing of the right testicle. It's left me with permanent low testosterone, um, and so that's also a challenge because
mm,
testosterone in a male, that's what helps. One, it helps what keeps the fat off, right? It's what helps us to be healthy. It's what gets us up in the morning and gives us energy and strength and all of that. So there's still a level there of that fatigue and those issues, that side effects from that. Um, just because I haven't found a doctor that I feel comfortable with, I won't go back on testosterone replacement therapy. I
yeah,
don't. I want to put a plug in here, and I want to say I think it's completely safe if you find the right doctor. I just haven't found the right doctor yet, and the doctor that I did find obviously didn't know what was going on, because when you start messing with one hormone, you got to check. What happened was my testosterone was converting to estrogen,
yeah,
because men and women, they have estrogen, both have estrogen, just men have higher testosterone, women have higher estrogen.
hmm
Man, I'm going to tell you, my estrogen was so high, it was 4 times what a man should have in his system.
well,
It gave me, it caused me to gain water weight, gave me gynecomastia. And I'm very open about this. Again, I'm a very transparent
no,
person
good,
with
good.
with this situation. And but worse was, it gave me like raging mood swings. Like, literally, so I'm a huge Star Trek fan. If you
Yeah,
can't tell, I got the Enterprise up there on the wall. I'm a huge Star Trek fan. So I'm sitting there while I'm on testosterone,
mm,
watching an episode of Star Trek that I've probably seen like a million times, bawling my eyes out at the end of it, like uncontrollable sobbing, ugly crying, right? Like
yeah,
just awful. A TV commercial comes on, and during this time, it was a campaign year, political year. A politician's TV commercial came on that I didn't agree with. I got so angry, I was this close to throwing the TV out the window. And that's
uh,
not me. My wife was like,
yeah,
"This isn't the man you married. You're
yeah,
not, you're a very even and very logical and rational and calm person. I get excitable when I'm passionate about something, but I don't get angry, and
mm, yeah,
and uh so I had all of that. So that's why, to this day, until I find a doctor that I feel comfortable, I did so much research, that it's like I should have a medical degree at this point, because I read so many medical
mm,
journals. I know like what the medication is, I know
yeah,
the dosages, but I haven't found a doctor that knows that yet.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, so I still struggle with that.
mm.
Fortunately, my emotions are back to where they should be, but I do struggle with the fatigue and the lack of energy and strength and things of that nature. So
But that's the fascinating thing. Like you still struggle with fatigue. You've had cancer, low testosterone, uh, Parkinson's disease. You lost babies. You had no money, and you're still able to make it work. Like, dude, like that is incredible. Like, again, like some people may have low testosterone, or maybe someone's got, a bad mindset, or someone has cancer, but it's one thing. Whereas you've had all these different things, but you still found a way to be successful. And so, what's your advice, dude? So you said before, energy, mindset, and stress. Are they the three key things to like what you've done to get to this stage,
mhm.
or are there any more secrets?
So no, I mean that's really the basics of it right there. I mean, so just to understand my system, one of the things is what we have to understand is the current productivity market, the current productivity teaching, SMART goals, for example, were created by General Electric in 1950. Productivity methods and efficiency methods were created back during the Industrial Revolution when factory owners were trying to get, when basically unions came along and said, hey, you can't work this guy for 18 hours a day, 8 hours is max. And the factory's workers saying, okay, how do I get 18 hours worth of work into 8 hours? And so the productivity wasn't about really for people like you and I, for today's
Mm.
economy, knowledge workers. It was about people trying to get, 8 hours of backbreaking labor or 18 hours out of backbreaking labor out of 8 hours in this guy. Um, so so when I looked at that, I recognized the first thing, I just looked at my own journey. And the first thing was my mindset had to change. I had to say, I had to change my story. I had to tell myself, there's something out there. Screw that. The
Mm.
doctors are wrong. The courts, the judge is wrong. The Social Security is wrong. I am not completely disabled. I am not useless. There is something in this world, some way online, sitting in my bed with an internet connection in my pajamas that I can make money. There are people making money left and right doing the exact same thing that I'm thinking about. There's got to be something. What happened was when my mindset shifted, when I got a purpose, right? What was my purpose? My purpose was to make money to get my wife out of that god awful job so that she didn't have to see people beating their babies and their wives, so that she didn't have to see kids in hospitals that were on life support, right? I had a purpose, I had a mission. And once that shifted and I had that, the very next day on Facebook, I saw my friend's post. Hey, I'm going to do a freight brokering business, looking for agents. You can work from home. Contact me. The guy lived right down the street. Now, I'm not saying that it was serendipity. I don't know. I haven't even looked. Maybe he posted about that before. Here's the thing. My mindset was ready to see the opportunity. Instead of my mind seeing the challenge, my mindset saw the opportunity because I had a purpose. And this opportunity aligned with my purpose. So, because of that, my eyes were open. Whereas if my mindset hadn't changed, if I hadn't fixed that part first or started to fix it, it wasn't completely fixed, right? It was just starting. But if I hadn't changed my story, I would have just kept
Mm.
scrolling on by. Wouldn't even have thought about it, right? Just would have been, well, some lucky person's going to get to work from home. Wish I could do that. So the first step, my first piece of advice is you need a mission. You need a purpose. You need a vision. I call it a life map. You need to think about the end from the beginning. At that point, I wasn't thinking that far ahead, but now the thing that keeps me going, the thing that keeps myself focused, and what keeps me doing the work is I've essentially written my eulogy, right? Like what would I want people to say about me if I died and I got to hover over my casket as a ghost? Would
Yeah.
I want to hear at my funeral? And I think about what do I want people to say about me concerning how I treated my family? How did I treat my wife? How did I treat my kids? What kind of a man was I in the community? What kind of a man was I in my faith? What kind of a business person was I? What kind of person was I in general, socially? What kind of integrity, character, those types of things. And I thought about them and I structured this thing. I read it every morning. Every morning I read my
Mm.
purpose statement. Okay. It's part of my life map. And then I have a 10, a 5, and a 1 year vision that's part of my life map as well. And I read those every morning. I read my goals every morning. So I stay focused so that even when I have a bad day, I think last time when you and I talked, I told you that was a bad day when we
Mm.
talked, last week. I had a plan. I didn't have the energy to do the things that I'd planned. But because I have a purpose, because I have a plan, a life map, because I have a vision, I could do other things that still move the needle in my business, maybe just not the things that I had written out the night before for me to do the
Yeah.
next day.
Mhm.
And that keeps my business moving. That keeps my business growing. That keeps me, but here's the thing, my life plan isn't just about my business. That keeps me moving as a good father, as a good member of my faith, as a good member of my community, as a good member of society. It keeps me making right decisions, even when my energy is low, even when I don't want to make right decisions. Because I read it every morning, it creates what's called cognitive dissonance. The way I've written it is the man I want to become. I'm not quite there yet.
Uh-huh.
So the cognitive dissonance works on my brain to say, you're not quite there. So, hey, if you make this choice, if you make this choice to be rude to that person, you're not moving in the direction of becoming the man that you said you want to become, the man that you just read about this morning. So I don't make that choice. I make the choice to not do the wrong thing, to not
Got
be
a
rude.
got a quick question because I've often thought
Yeah.
about this. Like, I think your brain works similar to mine, where not that we overthink, but we think about thousands of different things. Um, so, and I love giving examples, like what would you do in this situation? Because everyone thinks differently.
Right.
So, what you said, become the man that you want to become, and I agree with that 100%. But what do you do, or what would you do? Let's just say, so for me, as an example, I love helping people. I love um, opening doors for old ladies, like people in a wheelchair. If I see someone in a wheelchair that I know that's entering a building, I'll purposely open the door for them because I want to help people. But
Hmm.
what do you do when, let's just say, I'll give you an example. You open doors for people Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You open a door, no one says thank you. That's fine. Yeah, you let it go. The next day you open a door for three people. No one says thank you. They don't even acknowledge you. But this happens for years and years and years. So at what stage do you then go, you know what? People don't appreciate what I'm doing. So that makes you feel like a good person. Yeah, like you want to help. But there comes a
Hmm.
time where your brain starts to go, why am I doing this when no one appreciates it? Therefore, I'm
Right.
going to not purposely not open the door, even though I want to. I'm purposely going to change who I am because I know that people, not that they're evil, but they don't appreciate it. So this happens when you drive a car, like you might indicate to change lanes, but no one does it, you know, with you, like they cut in front of you all the time. So then you change your behavior to be more like other people. And I know that's bad because you're going from a good person to a bad person, but then at what stage do you stop being good when it's not being sent back to you? Does that make sense? So do
Right.
you change who you are? So the door example, at what stage do you stop being a good person when you know that people just don't appreciate it? No one does it back to you. Knowing that opening doors, it makes you feel like a good person, but then understanding that, well, you're just wasting your time. No one really appreciate it. Therefore, I'm going to purposely not be a good person. Uh, yeah. What's your thoughts on that?
So great question. Great question, Alan. So, and I get that question a lot with people that I coach. And here's the answer. So I love studying the brain, and I love studying how habits work, because habits are one of the best ways to achieve
Mm,
goals. And what happens is, if you read your purpose statement every morning, or let's give ourselves a little grace. Sometimes we're going to sleep in. Maybe we got something going busy. Let's say 4 days out of 7. You read your purpose statement 4 days out of 7. You read your life map, your vision. You read your goals, and you reconnect with them every morning. What happens is at first you're going to, as you are shifting to become that person. Let's take that door opening example. So maybe you're not a person who opens doors. Maybe you're usually just a, you know what, they can get it themselves. Tough luck, not my problem. But you come to the door, you've read your purpose statement that morning, and you're about to just leave, you're about to just walk through it. You see somebody who you could hold it open for. You're going to do the same thing you always do, walk through it, forget them. And that purpose statement comes up in your mind. You go,
mhm.
the man that I want to become would hold this door open. So you hold the door open. Well, that might need to happen 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 100 times, right? And here's the thing, there might be days that you don't hold the door open, but what's going to happen is that cognitive dissonance is going to resonate in your brain and going to go, wait a minute, you didn't do, you fell short today. And you're going to go, you're right, tomorrow's a new day. Let's offer some grace and tomorrow I'll do better. So you're going to keep doing that. Eventually that's going to become who you are. So the point of the purpose statement isn't about trying to fake it till you make it. The point of the purpose statement is to literally change who you are into a better being, into a more serviceable being, into a more impactful being, into the person that you want to be. And what's going to happen is you're going to have people not thank you. You're going to have people, all of this stuff. And at first it's going to be hard, but eventually it's going to become habit. And then it's going to be a pleasure and a joy. And you're going to relish people ignoring you because you're going to know that you did something nice, and that nice act, there's never a nice act that doesn't create a ripple, ever.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
There's never a good act, never a nice act that doesn't create a ripple, ever. It may not be immediate. It may take years, but somewhere down the line, that person you held that door open for, that's going to affect them. They're going to think, why aren't I holding doors open for people? Or they're going to think, if they're in the wheelchair, why aren't I saying thank you to people? Something is going to happen. There's never a wasted effort in this life when we make an effort for good. And so that's why it's so powerful to have this purpose statement. And here's the other thing too, is as life goes on, as different opportunities are provided to us, that may shift. I literally, every quarter, I rewrite my purpose statement. Most times it's word for word exactly the same. Sometimes it shifts a little bit. Sometimes a paragraph changes a little bit, depending on what's going on in my life, depending on the opportunities and the direction and the choices I've made. But it is always an upward climb. It is always an upward movement. It is always a better movement than from where I'm at today. It's never a shift to go, well, let's just scratch that out. Let's stop being nice there because that's not paying off. It's sometimes I've gotten so perfect at that one thing, like it's so second nature that I go, okay, I got to do what's the next level of niceness? What's the next level of impact? What's the next level of commitment?
Yeah.
So that's the point. So to answer your question is, if we truly apply this and we truly want to become a better person, at first it will take effort. And maybe a couple months into it, you might have that thought, you know what, screw it. But that's why you go back and you read it the next day. Because maybe you have a day where you're like, nobody appreciates me. Everything's gone wrong. Everybody's told me to screw off. Nobody is, nothing worked in business today. Nothing worked in my personal life. My significant other left me. My kids hate me, whatever. And you're like, I'm just going to give in. And then you go back the next morning and you read that purpose statement. You're going to go, no, maybe life has shifted. Maybe things are different. Maybe the person I thought I would be with at the end of my life is not that same person, but I can still be a good person, and it'll bring you back. And so you come back and you go, okay, I had a bad day. I gave in to temptation. So what? We're human. That's what happens. And you come back, and eventually some of those things start becoming second nature. Second nature means you do it without thinking, right? We talk about breathing as second nature. Well, that's how you want the goodness to become. Yeah. So that's the first thing. And in relation to our business specifically, you're asking about building a seven-figure business. That's what keeps you from all the shiny objects. Dude, you're an entrepreneur. You know all about shiny object syndrome, right? Yeah. Like it's horrible. Like just when you're like, yeah, I've got the path. And then this guru says, no, this is the way, or this software comes out and goes, hey, we're a ClickFunnels killer, or we're a this killer, or the email. Okay. But you can filter that and you can go, okay, I'll give you an example. I was having a meeting with my business partner, and I was like, hey man, this certification for this program just came out. Wouldn't it be cool if you and I got certified in it and we could serve our clients in a much larger capacity in a different way? And he's like, okay, hold on. What's our mission statement? And I said, well, our mission statement is that the Purpose Driven Co. is a productivity, goal achievement, and leadership development firm specializing in helping entrepreneurs succeed in business while winning at home, because no entrepreneur should ever have to choose between the growth of their business or spending time with the ones they love. And he says, all right, cool. You know it word for word. So where does that certification fit in with our mission statement? Which for a company, your mission statement is your purpose statement. And that's something that I coach my clients, is how to create both, how to create a personal purpose statement and how to create a company mission statement. But I took a step back and I went, oh, dude, you're right. You're right. You got me. Like Mr. Productivity, even he makes a mistake from time to time. And he's like, no, he's like, that this is good. And I said, yeah, you're right. It is. It's a good exercise. But that's the point, is because I have that, whether or not my partner brought it up. The nice thing is, because I have these things in place, I do run my decisions through them so that I can filter out, well, should I spend 20 hours getting this certification? Well, no, because that would take away from what I'm doing with my clients. Maybe in 10 or 15 years, it'll benefit our clients. Right now, it will not benefit them. It'll just be a cool thing to have. And it's going to take time away from serving the people that I should be serving right now in the way that I should be serving. And it's the same with your daily choices. As you read your purpose statement, you can stay focused on what you need to do to build your better family, to build your better self, to build your better business, to build your better community, all of those things. And then you can go, does this serve my purpose statement? Does this serve, no, this activity, it'd be really cool to learn Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but how does that fit in with my purpose? Now, maybe it does for some people. Maybe, they're like, I want to be, a world champion in MMA. Well, then yeah, that fits in. That doesn't fit in for me. I have 6 kids. I have an English bulldog. I have a wife. Yes, I wrestle with them, but Brazilian jiu-jitsu is not a part of that. Right. So that's step one. That was a long answer for that step one, but that's step one. That's that mindset change.
Before you move on, so I'll give you another example. Yeah, a hypothetical.
Sure.
And I think we could literally talk for days. So I literally, good thing I like about you is you don't just talk about one thing. You're like me, where you can talk about mindset, dopamine, how people think. Like it's amazing, and I love talking to you. But your mission statement. So I'll give you a hypothetical. Most online coaches, whether they're an online coach, business owner, content creator, influencer, whatever they want to call themselves, because everyone's different. Mm-hmm. Most people aren't successful, but they pretend that they're living a successful life on social media. Let's just say most people are making, I don't know, let's just pull a random figure out. Average income in Australia is about $1,500 a week. Yeah. So their mission statement is that they want to build a 7-figure business, but they also want to learn how to do martial arts. And that's what really makes them happy. But they're struggling financially to the point where they, they're an influencer trying to go viral, or they're contacting they know that step one is to make money. So, but they also want to be a jiu-jitsu, because that's what they really love. Like they love watching the UFC, Royce Gracie, whatever. So at what point do you, shift your mission statements? Like, do you shift to what's really important now? So again, most content creators, business owners, their goal is to be happy, and happiness is obviously to learn jiu-jitsu. But at this moment, you got to make money, because without money, you don't have, you can't do this, you can't pay for anything. Mm-hmm. So do you have on your mission statement your goals, your desires, your wants, your dream life? But you have it in steps, whereas like goal 1, I need to, making money is the priority. And then once I reach a certain level, then I can reward myself. So like, let's just say My first goal is to make $10,000 a month because everyone wants to make $10,000 a month online. Every single coach is a
Right.
$10,000 per month coach. But that's step one, is to make 10,000 a month, and then after you've done that, then you reward yourself with going to jiu-jitsu training once a week. So like, what's your take on that? Or do you do both? Do you build your business, from early morning, and then in the afternoon is more hobby time or fun?
Mhm. So, so from my perspective, the way I view this is what we're really talking about at this point. Your question is two different things. So there's the purpose statement and what the way, again, this is the way I would view it with my system is now we're talking about goals. So I call them smartery, by the way, instead of smart. Smartery stands for specific, measurable, actionable, risky, time keyed, exciting, relevant, and the Y stands for your why. So what we could do here is the way I've written my purpose statement is I have a paragraph that is kind of the first paragraph is kind of my overall life. What type of a man was I in general? The next paragraph is specifically about my family. The third paragraph is specifically about my faith. The fourth paragraph is specifically about my business. And then the fifth paragraph is specifically about my impact in society and on the world at large. So with that being said, that is what I want to grow into. So that's not specific goals. You don't need to put in there that I want to make 10,000 first and then I want to do
Mm.
jujitsu. You can put in there, Josh Hull, Josh became a jujitsu master at the age of 56. If that's something that you want to accomplish, what happens is once you've written your purpose statement, kind of your life vision, which should be causing you to grow, then you need to extract from that. Well, what goals do I need to be setting? And that's where the 10,
Mm.
the 5, and the 1 year vision come in. What goals do I need to be setting? So, well, if I want to, by the time I die, for example, in mine, it says I'm going to have my company will be a 9-figure company. That's $100 million plus a year.
Mhm.
Okay. So for me to get there, though, I have to extract and go, okay, this year, what goal do I need to set? Well, if I'm at $0, then maybe my first goal is I need to get to 10,000 a month consistently. That's goal number one. Okay. Once I get to that goal, then the next goal is, well, now I need to get to $50,000 a month consistently. Then I need to get to 100,000, and so as you go through, because your life statement isn't about, I will do it by this
Mm.
time. Your life statement is, I want to do this within my lifetime. Your purpose statement, right? So what you're asking is fits within that because you can write the overall vision of, as an entrepreneur, I want to be I want 9 figures. I want 7 figures a year. I want 10 figures a year, whatever you want, right? Or maybe it's just supported his family and impacted his community, and that's great too. But then you extract the goal. Maybe your community impact is that Josh was a Brazilian jiu-jitsu match, achieved his, I don't even know what the belts are, achieved his black belt in martial arts by the age of 60 and competed professionally for 10 years. Maybe that's part of my life plan. Okay, so now let's extract that.
Mm.
And then that's the relevant part of smartery. So I have to look at my season of life, right? And your goals need to be relevant. They need to be relevant to your season of life, meaning if I have 6 kids, a family, all these other things, sports going on, is it practical? Can I really set aside 10 hours a week to practice jujitsu right now? Probably not. Maybe in a couple of years, possibly. So is it relevant right now? Is it relevant? Does it align with your values? You know, to say that I want to become the greatest cat burglar in the world, well, that doesn't align with my values. So why would I set a goal to do that? Right.
Mm.
Sometimes people ask us to set goals, our bosses, people that we still have to work with 9 to 5. And we need to ask, do I have to do shady things or things against my values to
Yeah.
accomplish this goal? If so, then don't set that goal. And then it also needs to align with your other goals. So in this scenario, could this entrepreneur pursue 5-figure months while also pursuing jujitsu? Can they? Can it align?
Mm.
Sure, it can. Or will it cause friction? Well, in this case, maybe it's going to cause friction because I can't afford to pay for jujitsu until I get to 10
Mm.
figures.
Yeah.
So that's where you make the call on, let's achieve this goal first. Let's achieve this goal second, because this goal is going to help this goal be achieved.
Yeah.
So that's the idea there. So, and that gets into my goal training, my goal achievement training, and with the Smartery goals and setting that way. But really, that's what your purpose statement should inform your goals. So your goals should be, if I achieve this, I will be one step closer to being this type of person.
Yeah.
And if I achieve this, I'll be one step closer, and setting a personal goal of, say you want to be more spiritual, that by the end of your life, you want people to say that Josh was just connected with the eternal and always viewed people in a spiritual light and was kind to them. Well, then that means I got to start doing things today. What is a goal I can set? Well, maybe the goal is I will have a spiritual devotional every day for 10 minutes every morning. So that's my habit goal,
Mm.
right? To start me down that path. Now that becomes second nature. So what's the next goal I can set? That, well, Josh did a spiritual retreat, or not Josh did, that's purpose statement, but maybe the next goal is, I want to complete a spiritual retreat to Tibet in 2024. And so I set the goal and I start taking the action steps to plan and achieve that. And so on and so until I'm becoming who I say I want to
Mm.
be.
Yeah.
And so that's the idea, is we set those goals. Going back to your door opening, maybe that's a goal. Maybe you go, I want to be nicer to people and stop saying the F word in my head so much. Dude walks past me, F you, dude, F you, F you.
Mm.
I don't say it so out loud. So I save that for special occasions. But so maybe that's the kind of
Mm.
man you want to become. So the goal is to do that. I'm going to force myself. I'm going to be cognizant and make myself open the door for people, whether or not they say thank you, so that I'm learning to be kinder, so that I'm
Yeah.
learning to see people, and maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe that's why they're not being nice to me. So I don't need to be rude to
Mm.
them,
Yeah.
whatever it might be. So does that answer your question? I hope that
Oh,
covers
yeah.
that. I think,
Definitely.
like I said, when we're looking at it, you're looking at the same thing. It's just, I call them two separate things. My purpose statement or my life map is different than the goals I set. But the goals I set, those are the stepping stones I use to become the person in my life map, if
Mm.
that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. What I would like to do is, I think we need about 10 videos to get through, this properly, because I just know that people watching this, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whoever's watching this video right now, they're going to learn something. And what I love about what you do is, it doesn't matter if you're struggling financially. It doesn't matter if you've already made $50 million. Anyone can learn to better, manage their time, whether it's mindset training or whatever. But I'd love to do more videos regarding, like, we go into more details, more depth,
Mm-hmm.
and find more goodies in what you actually do, but more importantly, how you can help people watching this video, because it's not about me, it's about people watching this.
Absolutely.
So let's finish this off. Yeah.
Sure.
Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, wherever you're watching, make sure you follow Josh. So what I'll do is I'll upload your contact details in the description on YouTube. I'll put in your Facebook. So make sure you follow Josh. He's actually a very decent guy and very good looking.
Well, thank you.
So let's finish up with this. Your statement. I am, like, I've done this before for me. Like, it's super powerful, but I want to hear it from you. What was your statement before, when you were sick? You had cancer. You went. You lost the babies. You had no money. What were you telling yourself in your head? Because what I want to get at is, a lot of people are they're not even going through half the stuff of what you've done, but they're telling themselves, "Oh my God, it's too hard. No one's going to listen to me. I'm too ugly. I I'm not good on camera. I don't know." Like they come up with excuse after excuse. Now
Mhm.
I'm guessing that was you when you were sick. Not that you were going, "Oh, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this," but your mindset was, "I'm probably going to be like this forever." And
Mhm.
I feel stuck. I don't know how to get out of it. So I would love to know what your mindset was beforehand and your mission statement after, where you went from, "Oh my God, I've got cancer," to "This is me." Like, "This is me with no money," versus "This is a company that I want to build." So the before and after, I'd love to know what you've done.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that question. So before, I mean, it really was, it was, I'm worthless, that there's no reason for me to even be alive except for
Mm,
the fact that I'm collecting a paycheck. I literally, so I was never suicidal, I'll tell you that, but I did wish that the heart attack had killed me, and I'll tell you why. I wish it had killed me because at least my family could have had the life insurance that I had
yeah.
on me at that time, you
Hmm.
know, and financially they wouldn't have been, my wife wouldn't have been suffering so much, and there wouldn't have been so much of a burden there. So I just felt like a burden. I felt like I said, the only reason to keep living was just so that this check would keep coming from the government once a month to, and mind you, a very small check, not a large check, a very
Yeah,
small,
yeah.
but just barely enough to maybe ease up the financial pressure just a little bit. And I went from that. I went from wondering what my existence was even about to, I know very clearly today what my purpose in my existence is. My purpose in my existence is to impact the world by bringing families together. So I know well, where does that fit in with your company? That is the soul of my company. The soul of my company is to help people to find a purpose and to change the world through their families. We change the world, and mind you, my definition of family isn't just the traditional man, woman, children,
Mm,
whatever your family is, a loved one, a spouse, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a sister, a brother, just a group of people that hang out together, that would do anything, would literally die for each other. Whatever your definition of, if it's you and 30 bulldogs, whatever your definition of family is, the point is this: if we want the world to be better, we have to be better. We have to make the next generation better. Entrepreneurs are the only people that are going to save this planet, because they're the only people that are going to bring forward new products, new ideas, and new things to change the way we live. But in changing the way we live, those entrepreneurs also need to pass on those same values of hard work, of love, of service, of impact to the people that they love. And they can't do that if they're not with them. So,
yeah.
like I said, the way this world changes really is by spending more time with the people we love. So, if I can help somebody to grow their business, to have the impact with their product, their service, whatever it is they're doing, but to also have that personal impact on the one, as I said before, that good deed that never goes without a ripple,
Mm,
to have that impact on the one by spending the time with that one or two, or in my case, seven others.
yeah.
if that if that is what I can do, and if I only do that for one person, then my life and my life's mission has been complete.
Yeah.
I feel this world will be changed through entrepreneurs. It will be saved. Let me amend that. It will be saved by entrepreneurs, and it will be changed by the impact those entrepreneurs, the legacy they leave to with the people they love. So that is why it is a purpose driven co, because it is about having a purpose, about living a life of purpose, about living a life of legacy, both professionally
Mm.
and personally. And that's my message. And that's where my
Love
mindset
that.
went. My mindset gets me out of bed. That gets me out of bed. No matter how I'm feeling, good or bad, it gets me out of bed. If I can't do what I planned on doing that day, I shift what I'm doing, because I
Mm.
cannot not do the work. I have to do the work because I have a work to do. And that's, as entrepreneurs, that's what we have to do. That is my mindset. So no matter how bad I feel, my mindset says, I don't care, body. We're going to do it because
Mm.
you have to do the work because you have a work to do.
And I think that's why you're successful. And it's funny because I'm like, last thing, let's finish on that. But then I thought about something while you were talking. I'm like, oh, like we could literally talk about stuff for hours and hours. Let's finish off with this. So, do you think that a lot of people have depression? Uh, not that they're suicidal, maybe not even that they're depressed, yeah, but they're not happy because they're constantly seeking validation. They're constantly putting selfies. It's like every time I go out for dinner, there's always girls and guys taking
Yeah.
selfies of themselves going, and
Got of the food, right? Standing up on the
oh
chair,
yeah,
taking
yeah,
pictures of the
yeah.
food. Yeah.
Just like, but everything that they do is for validation. They want likes, they want comments, they want followers. And what you said is you actually have purpose. Yeah. So
Mhm.
I'd love to know your thoughts on, do you think people, and like I think I know the answer to this already, but I'd love to know your thoughts. Um, People are obviously not that they're insecure, but like nothing's ever black and white. But they do stuff to get liked. They want the validation, likes, comments. Oh my God, that looks amazing. Oh my God, you're so hot. Whatever it
Mhm.
may be. Do you think that not that that's their purpose, but their main goal is like I swear, not 99% of people, maybe even 95% of people, they're on social media, but they don't actually know what they're doing. So when I talk to potential clients, I'm like, why are you on YouTube or why are you on Facebook? And they're like, oh, to make money. I'm like, yeah, but why? They don't actually know why. So when they do
Mhm.
the videos, when they do the posts, when they don't get the followers, maybe they don't make any sales, they actually stop because their purpose is to make money. And in their head, make money is I need to get followers. I need
Mhm.
to get this many likes on my post. Whereas what you're saying is because you have a purpose, it doesn't matter if you don't get any likes or whatever, you're doing it because you actually love doing it and
Yeah.
that gets you through the hard times. And then because you have the purpose, people feel like not that you can see emotion, but you can feel that someone's passionate about something. And then if you're passionate about something, people want to work with you. So it's like a
Mhm.
win-win. So do you think a lot of people go through hard times on social media, depression, insecurities, because they simply don't know what their purpose is. They just feel like
Mhm.
they need to do it because they want to make money. But so what's your view on that?
Absolutely. So the reason why we're called the Purpose Driven Co. My system is based on a therapy called logotherapy. Logotherapy is a therapy developed by Viktor Frankl, who was a survivor of the Holocaust.
Oh
And
well.
yeah, he was a psychologist, psychotherapist. He survived the Holocaust. And what he determined was this. So he was actually a student of Freud, and Freud said that man had a will to pleasure. In other words, the whole reason why we do what we do, the decisions that we make, is so that we can get more and more pleasure. Well, we know that when you're on social media, when you get a like and you get a little ding that somebody liked it, you get a little dopamine hit.
Mm-hmm.
Dopamine's a happy drug, serotonin's a happy drug. So people get addicted to social media because they're getting addicted with the dopamine hits. They're getting pleasure. When Viktor Frankl disagreed with him and said, man has a will to meaning. We as creatures desire purpose and meaning in our lives. And when we cannot find it, Viktor Frankl said, then we default to pleasure.
Mm.
So, to answer your question, you really kind of answered it yourself. Absolutely, yes. People are on social media trying to fill this void, which really is crying out for purpose and meaning. But because they haven't defined their purpose and meaning, because they haven't driven forward with that, that they are trying to fill it with the pleasure side. They're defaulting to pleasure. And then when they don't get the dopamine hit, when they post a clever meme and nobody likes it, or they do a video and go live and nobody shows up, then that does lead to depression, not necessarily clinical depression, but you didn't get the dopamine hit and your brain was going, wait a minute, it's like a dog, right? I was expecting a treat. And so then your brain pouts and then you feel bad. So absolutely. That is why I teach my clients to have a purpose first and foremost. We define their purpose. We give them clarity on that, because when you have that clarity, like you said, I get out of bed, not because I care about what other people think, not because I want the likes. Yeah, that'd be great, right? And that does help business if more people see what I do. But I do it because I'm on a mission. I am fighting an injustice. I am fighting the hustle culture. I am fighting this idea that you have to work 100 hours a week to build a business. I am giving people their lives back. Yes, the money is part. We all need money to live, right? I need money to live. I need money to have more impact, but that's not my purpose. If your purpose is money, it's more your purpose is pleasure then, right? Because you're trying to get the money for the things. For me, money is just there to provide what my family needs. I love the fact that when I go to the store and my wife says, so-and-so, your daughter just tore her jeans again, she needs a new pair, that I don't have to look in my phone and, okay, well, what bill am I not going to pay this month? For me, I'm the richest man in the world because I can just grab a new pair of jeans and pay for them right there. I don't have to think about it. Okay. That doesn't mean that I've got $1 trillion sitting in the bank. What it means is because I have purpose, money has followed. When you follow the purpose, when you stay on mission, the money will follow. So if your purpose is money, then you're going to find yourself having those ups and downs and the depression and so on, because you'll get some money and you feel good. Then you'll go without money and you'll feel bad. And so you're absolutely right. And I think there's people on social media, that's the problem, whether they're running a business or not, if they're just an influencer, or maybe they just want people to like them. They want people to like them because they don't have a purpose. When you have a purpose, to put it bluntly, when you have a purpose, you don't give a damn what people think about. You only care about the mission.
Absolutely. Yep. Love that.
So,
spot on.
Yeah.
Love it, dude. All right, let's finish off this here. I would love to speak to you again. We could talk about anything at all, and I think you've got
Absolutely.
a massive amount of knowledge in your brain. I want to get that out, and you can reach much more people. Thank you for coming on today. Really appreciate it. I hope people watching this get massive amounts of value. I'm sure that they will, and if they don't, then they weren't paying attention. That's what I believe. No, it was good.
Thank you, Alan. I really enjoyed it. And you're right. We could talk for hours. You and I think just we vibe. So definitely I would love to come back. I really appreciate it. Appreciate your time and effort and putting this together. And you're welcome for anything that I may have done or said today that might help. I really hope, again, that's my, if you boil down my purpose statement, it's that I just want to live in a way that when I die, you could put on my tombstone, he was an influence for good. Yeah. And I hope that I can do that and help change people's lives for the better through something that I say or do.
Absolutely.
So, I thank you for giving me the opportunity and the platform to do that today.
And the pleasure is all mine, dude. Pleasure is all mine. Let's chat next week, and let's come up with some other subjects. We can go more into the energy, mindset, stress. Maybe give people some more practical stuff to do at home. Super excited. And we'll chat soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Alan.
All right. Bye, everyone.